All right, hello again. This is some more engine stuff, which I haven't done in a little while. Mostly because I haven't worked on it in a little while. So I honestly don't know where I can begin with this, but I guess the first major change is the background is now mauve, purple, whatever. It's obviously not a big thing. I actually have things on the screen, um, and the alphaing is not quite working. You might see some like weird purple artifacting around the thing. It looks a little bit crappy, but that's still a work in progress. So a couple of things I've done. The tiles here, they are from a asset set I got off, I think, Humble Bundle, I want to say. So I'll just put those in. Basically, it's just a map that goes, oh, your tile 00, so that's tile 00.png, and that doesn't exist, and it's 01, and 11, and 01, and that's why it has that like slicing effect going on. But I put that in to test out the rendering capabilities of this engine, and as you can see, like there is 1044 rendered triangles, and it's only going at 90 FPS, which I mean is fine, but it's obviously very slow. If you've played like any new game, they have hundreds of thousands of triangles rendering every second. Those are per frame at the very least, so that's something. At least my color's working, which is good thing. My color, not color, but color. And this is a little bit of a torture test because this is every one of these is a different texture. When in reality you'd have a single texture map and you sort of pick a frame, which is what I will eventually do. But obviously I wanted to torture it a little bit. But not only is this not as fast as I've got it running, it's also not as slow as it was running at one stage. I had this running the first time I put these in at about 20, if I was lucky, frames per second. And I sort of, I think I'll go through sort of what I did there and undo one of the changes which I've got currently in here to make it go a bit faster, and then sort of rag on some particular person a little bit, but we'll get into that. So let's talk about the first thing. So this is my render manager. As you can see, I still got my sort of debug timing calls in here. And before I started optimizing this, I had this preparation stage. Actually, I think I have. Let's find the document. Yeah, here we go. So, get rid of that. The render preparation time was, this is in milliseconds, 12 milliseconds. The render time was just under 6. The font render time, which is the text on the screen, obviously it was 0.2 of a millisecond. The time to... Ooh, why is there... Fuck off word wrap. Okay. Weird flex, but okay. Let's fix that up. Just... This is copying straight from my console log, so I don't know why I didn't copy the new line character, but whatever. Yeah, so those are the times in the render manager, and these are the ones for the individual calls that I had in there before, which are no longer there. So how long it takes for me to find a texture, to add it to the render queue, the sprite to the textures render queue, and add the texture to the texture render queue, which are all part of this prepare time. So this would be per texture, and this would be per frame. And what I found was a couple of things I could fix up were I had the textures in was in a vector, and now I've got it in an unordered map. So now I can go through texture by texture rather than sprite by sprite and really pump it out. And the reason why it seemed to have been going slow was when I was adding it to the texture queue, I'd actually have to go and find to make sure I didn't double it up. So removing that and just going, okay, once per texture, it's going to be one of the keys in the map. Then I'm going to only have to do it once. I don't have to check it. It actually sped it up from 12 milliseconds down to like 1, I think. But I'll put the debug calls back in and run that. One of the other things I did for that was because it was now a map, I could sort of optimize a couple of things in here, like I think I actually got rid of it. Yeah, I got rid of it. This thing. I would try to push the entire thing, and I got rid of that for some reason. Oh, because I got to do this check. That's right. Anyway, so let's run that. And you can kind of see, if I pause that, the render prepare time's down to 1400 milliseconds, so 1.4, sorry, 1400, it's below milli. Microseconds, I think. 1.4 milliseconds. Pretty consistently between 1.2 and 1.5. So that's great, but now this render time has actually gone up. This timing was having a little bit less on the screen, but it's sort of, you might be able to see it, it's sort of going between 6 and 8 milliseconds. So let's have a look at that. The main reason I found out that was happening was because I added this componenting system, much like if you've ever used Unity. Unity has you have a component which has a position component, and you can add extra components to it, like a renderer or a collider or a script. Kind of the same thing. The only thing I'm using it for at the moment is position. So now every object in my game has a position. So if I was to load it up again and bring over my handy dandy web page, if I click any object, it has a position component. Hello, Rusty. Leave him alone. Yes, hello. And I'll go through my reasoning for all this. It's a little bit of a mess. I've got to clean it up a little bit, but the main reason for that was so I could do something like this. So this is my little inventory display, which is I was testing my clicks on. But if I was to go into my inventory display here, and it's going to be a little bit hard to show. Oh, I suppose that'll work. Ah. It's a good thing that oh God. Still a work in progress, and also that is something that the fuck. I fucked something up. Where's that coming from? Interesting. It's very interesting why that is. All right, I guess I can't show you that one then. Maybe I can do it with the map. So inventory, here we go, base map. Okay, I've obviously fucked something up. Editing position components isn't quite working properly, but I can show you in the actual code actually. The only reason I really wanted to do that was this inventory display. If I was to change the location of just one of the points, I wanted the entire thing to move. So I wanted that parenting system, and so it's now moved over because I changed it. I changed the base. So in Unity, it works that you have a parent component, and that position gets sort of added onto the position below it, so it gets calculated one by one. And that's what I wanted. And that was the main reason I did this sort of positioning component thing. So this map is all, like it's based off the root of the map. So the root of the map is 0, 0, and then this is 32 up and 0 across, and then 64 up, and etc., etc., etc. So they all work like that. That's why I put it in the positioning system. But in my rush to get it working, this was what my code was. So this get component is a static cast, dynamic cast. I don't remember which one that one is. And yeah, they're slow. They're extremely slow. So the reason I sort of said I was going to rag on someone like this is I've done a couple of videos on Yandere Simulator, or however the hell you say it. And his game runs ridiculously slow. And the reason for that is the exact same reason that this is running ridiculously slow. Getting the components is not super slow, but it's relatively slow. But casting them to the correct thing is what is really the slowest, because it's this sort of dynamic exercise. It can't be really optimized too well. So if I'm to get rid of this and put in this, which is, I already had the code in there to get a to get the position component from the object, because every object has a position component. So I have it as a thing you can just get. It's already there. It's already ready to go. So if I change it to this and I run it up again, and everything fucking renders, everything builds. Come on. Come on. Our frame rate's basically tripled. If we pause this, our render time has gone from, what was like 6 to 8 seconds to 6 to 8 milliseconds to half a millisecond. So because that working out the position is part of the render time, which is sort of a bit of a misnomer in my case, but I sort of had to split it up into those 3 cases to make it a bit easier for me to sort of look through it. Yeah, now it runs super quick. So I actually managed to get it up from 20 FPS to about 300. So let's remove those debug calls because they annoy me in the log. So that's the other thing I like. I got the logs so I can actually put logging in, but I'm really, really fucking lazy and I just haven't. I left that one in. Because I should be logging stuff and I should be doing that for debugging and stuff, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. So I'm running it, between 300 and 400 frames per second. Oh, it's 450 now. And this is not the greatest setup to be running games on, just for the record. It's a... What kind of computer is it? I forget what the... 1065 G7, running at 2.7 gigahertz at the moment. This is a single-threaded program, so it doesn't take advantage of any of the multi-threading bullshit. It does have a GeForce... It was a GTX 1060, but it's over Thunderbolt. So it's not terribly good, but I mean, it's not really affecting the performance. The bottleneck is the CPU. I do want to put multi-threading in, but honestly, it scares me. So I haven't. Oh God, computer sort of spiked a little bit. That's another problem. This is very spiky kind of computer with heating and stuff. So, whatever. I forget where I was going with this. Okay. So, because this is all test code at the moment, the only reason there's a map on the screen, so I just wanted to see something beside the little Doom guy. So let's up it. That's from 400 tiles to 2,500 tiles. So that's fine. So it's running about 110 frames per second. So having more targets on triangles on screen to render doesn't seem to really affect it too much. It just seems to be the amount of objects it has to loop through that affects it the most. So it seems to work pretty well. I have got no textures. I really should probably do this. Make it all the same tile, of course, and see how fast it runs. Which isn't the same kind of torture test, but I mean, with one sprite and having one sprite having different parts of that sprite coming up, it doesn't really affect performance in this engine at all. I'm up to 500 frames per second with the same amount of triangles on screen. So it does seem to work. I don't think I'll be fighting it too much to actually make a game in it, which is... I'm at the point now where I've actually started making the game. These tiles it's the start of the actual game I want to make. There is still a lot to be done on the engine side, specifically graphical options, because at the moment this 1024x768 or whatever the hell the base... yeah, that's not it. Ignore my thing. 1024x768, yeah. I want to be able to change that. I want to be able to make it full screen, make it go from full screen, stuff like that. But it's definitely getting there. It's definitely working a lot better than it was. With nothing on the screen, it would run at about 900 frames per second, and then with all that crap on the screen, it runs at 600. So it's a huge, huge bump, and I'm so happy with that. If I was to get rid of that map, I'm actually, don't think I've checked what it actually runs at with nothing on the screen. Yeah, so like it's a ridiculous amount, 1500 frames per second, 1800, 1900. It's it's not an achievement. There's nothing on the screen, like there's some text, but each one of those letters is a sprite. This guy's an animated sprite. This guy's a button, so you can see it switching down here to the item that's equipped. You know, this is always in the background. You can see it sort of tanks the FPS because it's such a large proportion of triangles compared to what it was. It goes up from 380 to 440, so it's like a 20%, 15% jump. Oh, each one of those is a different render call. Oh, it's an update call because each one of those is tracking the mouse. So you can actually see when I'm mousing over it, it actually goes a little bit slower, which is interesting. But yeah, that all works. That's using that signal and slot system I came up with, sort of based on QT's one. I'm seem to be very good at taking someone else's idea and turning it into something that I can use. So I quite like that. Let's go back, get my map back. Some of the issues I still have to work out is alphaing and layering. Doesn't seem to work too well when I modify the alpha layer on the fly, but it seems to work okay when the alpha is baked into the texture. So I don't know if that's going to be a huge issue for me. I don't think it is. But it's something I have to sort of keep in the back of my mind. The render color seems to be working very, very quickly, which is great. The render manager seems to be working well with the texturing system I got going, so that's pretty good. These collisions, don't think I've got the collision system running yet, but that's sort of a basic thing I want to get going. But it's sort of half working from mouse to screen, which is it's kind of the same system. So that's okay. That works pretty well. The update manager I quite like because that's all automatic. And the render manager is all automatic as well. Once you create something, if it's updatable, it gets added to the update queue. If it's renderable, it gets added to the render queue. So parenting is there, so you can parent one thing to another. It'll take the position of it, and you can, if you disable one, it disables them all, I think. I'm actually unsure. Let's have a look. It's probably going to crash again, but oh. That was... Oh. I think I have a bug in the web system. Which is fine. I've been doing a lot of changes, so I expect it to be a little bit broken, but maybe not that broken. Oh. It's rendering over itself. Okay. Something for me to look at. That's fine. But like, I'm actually really proud of the work I've done. Like, I know it's sort of been an ongoing project. This has been... I would have started this at sort of the end of 2010, beginning of 2011. So 9 to 10 years of work, but obviously not full time. This is not my job. It's basically whenever I get motivation to actually do some work, which is honestly extremely rare. In the last couple of weeks, I've had some motivation to make just this map work. And once I got the map up, that was running at like 0 frames per second. I had the motivation to fix it. And now I'm just sort of trying to get motivation to fix my web thing to figure out what the fuck's going on there. But it does look like it's rendering in itself, so I've probably broken something. But I also managed to remove any DX9 libraries from here, so it's all running on DX11, so a Windows 10 computer should just be able to run it without the DX9 July 2012 redistributables or whatever the hell it was. No, it'd be 2009. DX SDK July 09. I want to say that is called. DX SDK. June 10. God damn it. That's fine. Yeah. that's fine. I forgot where I'm going with this. But all the little like quality of life things that I've put into the engine to make it easier for me to actually program a game, I'm actually starting to test them now, and they're actually really, I know, blowing smoke on my own ass here, but they're actually really easy to use and really well done in my opinion, because like in the game loop I can have something like this, or I can go up here and bind keys to functions. And if I was to, the game's already started, like I've got a key map defined for camera left, which just modifies the camera, and I've bound that to W, and now when I hit W it goes up. So that could be in an options menu, and you could have that function running somewhere else. Probably. I don't know. I haven't really tested it too much, but it seems to work really well. I don't actually remember how this all works. Okay. It's just a macro. The signal and slot thing works really well. I'm very, very happy with how that goes. Like the things like when you just, like this tile, this map tile, all it does is create a sprite and set its parent so that it takes the position off the parent. And I mean, that's it. That's all the code I need to actually bring something up on the screen. So like, that's really cool. I'm just hoping that I can get my world creator that I've got in C# and bring everything over to C++. That is a work in progress, but that will eventually work. Yeah, that's it. I don't think I've got anything else. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm always happy to talk shop about this kind of stuff. It excites me to actually be working on it again, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. I've got some work to do apparently, because my HTTP server is fucked. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you haven't, then don't watch the programming stuff, I guess. I am probably going to do more if I start actually getting a game going. But yeah, until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.